Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me for the CCA 10 Minutes to Impress. My name is Lauren Lake, and I'm the COO and co-founder of Bridgit. Bridgit is a construction technology company. We're a Canadian company. We're based in Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario, and we got our start back in 2014 when we launched our first product, Bridgit Field. Bridgit Field is an app designed for punch list on the job site to help manage quality control. And as we grew that product over the past number of years, we saw another opportunity in front of us within the construction industry. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, which is our newest product, Bridgit Bench. And it's designed for workforce planning specifically for the construction industry. So as we spoke to more and more general contractors and specifically talked to their operations teams, we saw one challenge around workforce planning that was typically done in Excel through a very manual process. So what we saw was operations teams would get together once a week. They would go through their Excel spreadsheet. They would look at all of the people that they had within their company, all of their certifications, their past job history, and so on. And they would look at the projects they had coming up, the roles that were required on those projects, and try to match individuals to projects as best they could. This was really tedious and difficult to do, and it was difficult to actually pull any metrics on how well utilized their teams were and making sure that they were actually getting the most out of their staff. So the idea with Bridgit Bench was to replace those Excel spreadsheets and allow general contractors to manage their workforce planning through a simple cloud-based tool. So that's what I'm going to walk you through today, which is Bridgit Bench. And it allows you to be much more efficient with your workforce planning. You can collaborate, you can access your plan from anywhere and make those adjustments on the fly. So we'll get right into it and I'll walk you through the product. The product has been on the market for a year. We actually announced Bridgit Bench at the CCA conference in Bermuda last year. So I'm going to walk you through the tool as it looks like today and also tell you about some of the newest enhancements and newest features that we've added in the past year. So if we look at the Langdon Hall project, I'm going to go ahead and add a role. You can see here we actually don't have a project manager assigned as a role for this project yet. So I'm going to go ahead and add a role. I will choose project manager. The system will default to having the start and end date of the project, so I will just leave that as is. It will also default to having 100% allocation. I could always change that. I could make that 50%, 75%, whatever I wanted. The other thing I can do is I can even customize the allocation further. You may not want to do this for every role. It will only make sense sometimes, but I could customize this to actually show a ramp up or ramp down for this role. And I could do that either monthly or weekly. So in this case, we'll do monthly. And let's say that we wanted this project manager to start out at 50% allocation for 3 months before ramping up to being at 100% allocation for the rest of the project. I'll go ahead and save that. And then I will save the role and it will show up as an unfilled role on my project. So you can see here we have the project manager role. It is currently unfilled. So I can go ahead and fill the role. I'm just going to click here, and the system's going to pull up all the possible matches for this role for this project. So you can see here that we have 3 people, Chantel, Mike, and Van, who are all showing up as being available during this time of the project, and they are all project managers. Right now, the system is just looking for people that are available during that time period and have the relevant title, but this is where I could start to add filters and get even more descriptive. So depending on what you're tracking when it comes to your team members, this is where you could start to add filters and look for people who have, a certain type of experience, maybe certain certifications, live in a certain area, have access to a vehicle, and so on. So that's where I'd be able to get, more and more detailed here and start to narrow this list even more. If for some reason none of these 3 people were the right fit for the job, you can look down here and see who else might be a possibility. In this case, you can see that Jessica is available, but only at 50%, it looks like here. I can click, and I can see that she is assigned to this other project during this time period at 50%. So she's only partially available during these dates. And this is something that I could then go ahead and override if I wanted to. I could take her off of this project and place her on the other project instead, or I could just go ahead and allocate her for when she's available. So there are different options depending on what you want to do. In this case, I'll keep it simple, and I'm going to assign Chantal to the project. Once you've assigned people, you're also able to view all of your team members in a really visual way so that you can really understand who's actively on a job and who may still be on the bench. We definitely want to help companies eliminate as much as possible that overhead cost and make sure that you're utilizing your team to the best of your ability. So if I look at this Gantt style chart here, this is looking at the people. I can see when people are allocated versus available, and this will allow me to flag people that might not be assigned to a project and make sure that I get them placed on a project as quickly as possible. Of course, you can filter any of this information, and you can also pull reports. So if this was something you wanted to share with more people at your company, you could pull a PDF report of this information or of the project Gantt information, print that off, or email it around if needed. Everything's also summarized in a dashboard, so you can see all of the different information here, the breakdown by project, by role, and start to really tie together all of this information and make sure that you're making the best decisions. So that's, of course, just skimming the surface of the product. There's lots more that you can do here. It is very robust, but that just gives you a very basic sense of how this tool would be used within a company. It's really replacing that need for the Excel spreadsheet, allowing you to track all of your people and projects and make those matches as seamlessly as possible. I'm going to tell you about two main updates that we've made in the past little while. The first is introducing a mobile app. So we do have a mobile app available for Bridgit Bench for both Android and iOS. This allows you to make those changes on the go, view any of your information, view any of your people and projects and so on directly from your phone or tablet. The next thing I'm going to talk about is a big dashboard, a new feature for us called the forecasting dashboard. This is something that came up in talking to different companies and hearing their kind of desires in terms of what they wanted to do a better job of tracking when it came to their workforce plan. And the biggest thing that came up was being able to forecast and run different scenarios out into the future versus relying on just looking at the present day. So with the forecasting dashboard, we allow you to run different scenarios based on assumptions with what projects or work you expect to get in the future and what resourcing requirements you expect those jobs to have. So rather than just looking at your average utilization rate, let's say for today, you could actually predict that out over time and look at different scenarios to say, if we win these next 5 projects, then this is what our average utilization rate will look like. If we don't, on the flip side, then this is what the scenario ends up being. So it's just helping you to play with those different levers to make sure that you're managing your workforce requirements with the new work that you're bringing in and being able to kind of model that out over time. The same idea applies for workforce pulse. In this case, we're just showing what is that delta between how many people you need in the future versus how many staff you have currently. So being able to show, is there a hiring demand that's going to come in the future, or on the flip side, is there actually more work you need to get in the next 6 months to make sure that you have sufficient work for your team. So the idea with the forecasting module is to keep these metrics really easy to access. This is something that we've heard from lots of companies. They want to have these metrics on hand, but with their current process being so manual, it's just something that they don't have a handle or a grasp on. So we want to make this as accessible and easy for you as possible. So with that being said, we've seen great success in helping companies move away from their spreadsheets and spend over 50% less time in those manpower meetings, lots of time saved every month. And we're very happy to be the #1 workforce planning tool built specifically for the construction industry. If you have any questions, please feel free to visit our website. We're happy to walk you through the product in more detail, show you even more about what it can do for your company. So visit our website or send us an email if you have any questions. Thanks again. Bye.